Welcome back. It's Dr. Lindner. We're going to be talking about the how does stress kill and to understand how stress kills, because everyone's heard of this expression. Oh, he or she was under so much stress, had a heart attack. He or she was under so much stress, had a stroke. So, how does stress kill? Well, let's look at stress and what happens, what should happen. Now, you'll see on the left-hand side, we have something called short-term stress. And on the right, we have more prolonged stress. We will see on the left-hand side the adrenal gland here, and on the right-hand side, we'll see the adrenal gland here. Now, the difference is what part of the adrenal gland is being stimulated. When we're under short-term stress, we see the inside of the adrenal gland being stimulated, which is known as the adrenal medulla. When we're under prolonged stress, we see the outer portion, which is the adrenal cortex, being stimulated. Okay. When we look on the left-hand side for short term, we'll see that the brain sends signals down to the spinal cord, and right from the spinal cord, there are, think of it as electrical wires and only wires, right? Neurons and sympathetic fibers going to the adrenal medulla. But when we're under prolonged stress, this is where we have hormones being involved, right? Hypothalamus, adrenocorticotropic hormone. That's when we're under prolonged stress. So we need fast, short-term response. This is all neurological primarily. Well, we're being chased by a tiger. You see someone behind you and you see lights go on behind you and it's a police officer because you were speeding. Well, think of what happens. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, you're being chased by a tiger and you haven't eaten. Glycogen, there's ogen, which means it's inactive, has to be converted to glucose, which is available sugar. So blood sugar goes up. You're being chased. We have more energy production. In order to produce energy, we need oxygen. So we need dilation of our bronchioles to get more air through our windpipe so that that oxygen can get into the mitochondria and we could start oxidizing and breaking down glucose to make ATP for energy. Changes in blood flow patterns leading to decreased digestive system activity. Well, when you've eaten food, there should be blood in your digestive tract to absorb the nutrients, but when you're under short-term stress, the blood vessels are shunted away, right? The blood is shunted away from the gut into your muscles, so you have energy and oxygen and blood in your muscles, so you can get indigestion. So you have increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, increased blood sugar, dilation of the bronchioles. The adrenal medulla was pushing out epinephrine and norepinephrine. And those are two of the catecholamines that are designed to stimulate and affect your sympathetics, your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight response, fight or flight, right? To get out of danger's way. That's a short-term response. This is good. We want this to happen. Now, prolonged stress. I have bills, we have cell phone issues, we have exams coming up, we have another test coming up, we have relationship issues, a parent or family member is not well, right? Boom, we're getting bombarded by stress after stress after stress, not just short term, but we're talking about prolonged stress. Now the adrenal cortex is being stimulated. The adrenal cortex can produce glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. The glucocorticoids is cortisol. What does cortisol do? When you're under stress, you have suppression of the immune system. What does cortisol do to blood sugar? Increases blood sugar. Proteins and fats are converted to glucose or they're broken down for energy. So now proteins and fats are converted again. We have increased blood glucose again. We're going to have increased cholesterol. You're going to have retention of sodium. And when you have retention of sodium, you're going to have high blood pressure. Now, prolonged. So now you have high blood pressure for a prolonged period of time. You have a weakened immune system for a prolonged period of time. Increased blood sugar, increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, increased cholesterol. That is how stress can kill. And when your adrenal cortex is being stressed for prolonged periods of time, we call that adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion. And that really is when systems start to shut down and people are just chronically fatigued and their immune system is constantly being taxed and broken down. Okay, so you should know the difference between the adrenal medulla for short-term stress and the adrenal cortex being involved with more prolonged stress. When we come back, we'll get a little bit into the pancreas.